Y'all sound really nice. What a song of love that is. That's a love song right there. So I'm wondering if you've ever experienced something I've experienced. That life gets kind of crazy for one reason or the other. You turn to God for comfort and nothing happens. You still feel alone. You pray for help and you get no response. Wouldn't it be great to see God if we had definitive proof of God's existence? You do know, of course, that there are plenty of people on this planet who think we made the whole thing up. You know that, right? But there are also many learned scholars and scientists who, while they may not call it God, allude to a force that governs everything, even a world as complex as the one we live in. I love the study of spirodynamics. And here's how chapter 1, entitled Different Times Produce Different Minds, starts. While these are chaotic and turbulent times, they are hardly crazy ones. There is a rhyme to both the reason and the unreason. Order lurks in the chaos. A deeper chaos still lurks in the order. Those who have eyes to see and ears to hear and minds steady enough to live creatively in uncertainty will rest easier knowing that the sky is not falling after all. And I wonder if anything could be more relevant to what's going on in this country today. Whenever I get into that what's it all about frame of mind, it helps me to reflect on the idea of order, what Unity calls divine order. It helps to think about the unmistakable order of the cosmos, of nature, of our own bodies. Divine order in itself is irrefutable evidence of the presence and power of God, and so it's a great comfort. Consider your own life. Have you ever stopped to notice how all of your experiences are woven together? That they're like a rich and intricate tapestry? But like a tapestry, if you stand too close to it and you look at only one small piece, one small circumstance or event, you cannot appreciate the totality of its beauty. But when you step back and you view your life in its entirety from the right distance, its incredible order is revealed. Every experience, your parents, your childhood, your religion of origin, your education, career, relationships, successes and failures, wounds and healing, all part of the tapestry. Everything you have ever done or experienced, it all belongs because it has all brought you right here, who you are in this place and time. We often think of the painful experiences in our lives as mistakes, but can we really be so sure of that? How else could we have learned the things we needed to learn to become the people we are today? When things are going really well, it's kind of hard to get our attention. But when we're struggling a bit, it seems to me we're much more awake and alert and vigilant. For example, I believe that my difficult experience as a child in the house that I grew up in is what propelled me into the deep heart desire to be a good parent. I was determined to break the cycle of terror and anger that I had seen and that I grew up with. And so today, as I see my sons being such wonderful parents to their children, I just feel the warmest peace in my heart, knowing that I had a part in making that change of a long-standing family dynamic. It's so important to accept our history and understand that it has meaning and purpose. To me, that's what healing really is, because it allows us to stop suffering over the past or trying to figure it all out, and allows us to be free to turn our attention to a completely new reality right here, right now, living in this moment, just as we are, without regret or wishful thinking, fully awake, eyes wide open to see clearly, and ears tuned to hear deeply. Today we're exploring the 9th of our 12 powers, those faculties of mind and heart which our co-founder Charles Fillmore laid out as a path to attainment of the Christ consciousness. When our spiritual power of order is well developed, we get to live free from regret over the past and worry about the future. We trust that where and who we are, that the circumstances we're dealing with right now are just as they should be. We trust in right timing, knowing that circumstances in our lives are unfolding at the perfect pace. Eventually, we may even be able to let go of all the made-up stories in our heads about how things are, how they ought to be, and live confidently in the realm of actual experience. Reveal something here. When I first went to therapy and got to know the therapist, he looked at me one day and he said, I hope you know what you're in for. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, your whole reality exists in your mind. We're going to need to tear that down so that you can actually see what's going on out here. Right? Little did I know what he really meant. But we have so many ideas in our minds about life and our interpretation of things and our interpretation of the past that sometimes we're not really seeing what's right in front of our faces. Confidently, living confidently. You know, the robin doesn't hang around on the tree and wonder if it has a good voice. It just sings. The eagle doesn't angst over whether to fly east or west. He just soars on the wind because that is what he's made to do. We all love Jesus' teachings about this. I paraphrase from the Gospel of Matthew. Do not worry about your life. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed as one of these. If God so clothes the grass of the field, can he not be trusted to take care of you? In all the natural world, only human beings have been given the ability to think, reason, and choose. And it's so marvelous that we have this ability. And yet so often we use these gifts to analyze every single thing to death. I think I've told you this story before, but it's one of my favorites. About the minister, the rabbi, and the engineer. I think I like it because my husband's an engineer. Who had been sentenced to death by guillotine. When the blade came down over the minister, it stopped just short of his head. Everyone thought it was a sign from God, and so the minister walked away in weeping with gratitude. The same thing happened to the rabbi, and he walked away singing hymns of praise. When the blade came down over the engineer and stopped just short of his neck, the engineer shouted, "Wait, wait, I think I see the problem." Overanalyzing can be counterproductive. Sorry, honey. Developing our faculty of order is the process of learning to take direction from our intuitive inner knowing, rather than from circumstances or intellect or the opinions of others. It's learning to live in cooperation with life rather than constantly struggling to overcome it. See, when we think something's wrong, we're struggling to try to fix things all the time. What the rest of nature is doing by instinct, we, by right of our autonomy and the power of our intelligence, must learn to do by intention and practice. Here's how Charles Fillmore puts it. To develop divine order in our life, we must learn to cooperate with spiritual law. Obedient cooperation with God's plan of good is the secret that clothes the lilies with beautiful attire, and it is the secret that will make our life happy, harmonious, and balanced. Developing the spiritual power of order starts with the establishment of order in our thinking. And then unfolds from the inside out, eventually manifesting as order in our lives, in the outer realm of our lives. Not that we're to rigidly impose order on ourselves or other people or on circumstances. To the contrary, we accept situations and people as they are because we understand that nothing is wrong with the way they are, even though we're not comfortable with it. At a gut level, we come to understand that all of our loved ones and all of our friends must be exactly who they are and do the things that they are doing in order to learn what they came here to learn. Trusting in divine order, we let go and dance gracefully with life. As with all the powers, the development of order begins in stages. First, we study the spiritual laws until we understand them intellectually. We're going to do a little of that this morning. Next, we meditate, pray, and reflect until we are ready to give our heartfelt consent to them. Then we practice putting them to work, and very importantly, we get in the habit of observing the results. You see, the universe is always communicating with us. What we see as obstacles are communication from the universe, and our job is to learn to pay attention. We do this process over and over again until the law becomes as natural as flight to an eagle. We can't rush this unfoldment. We live into it day by day, responding to the challenges that arise. And periodically, again, really important, we stop and take stock and notice that divine order has been present all along, working things out and bringing harmony and flow to every area of our lives. I'll tell you, it has taken me a long time to understand the power of restraint, of waiting, of not jumping in quite so quickly to try to change circumstances. And it's been an amazing process to practice. It's definitely a practice for me. But doing so, I get to notice how the universe works things out without me. Go figure. People work things out without me. People can do things even if I don't show up. They're okay. That was not my conditioning. And so it's been quite a practice. It's been quite a practice. And when that faculty of order finally lands in our gut, when we can viscerally feel both the presence and the absence of order, it becomes possible to be fully present. We let go of a lot of that self-doubt and those other reactions like resentment and regret and fear, and we become awake to the beauty that's all around us. And when we do that, we relax. And when we relax, guess what? Everything gets better. Our health gets better. Our relationships get better. We no longer have to convince anybody of anything. We're free to make choices from the inside out and to follow our direction. And we can know and feel what my teachers had to say to me 100 times, the benevolence of the universe. Because see, this planet that we're on, This was designed for us. We belong here. It's in support of us every step of the way. Charles Fillmore again. Unfoldment of the faculty of order enables us to find our right place in the overall scheme of things and fulfill God's greatest plan for us all. So I want to take a little sidestep here because I noticed in all of the powers, but especially in order, this constant allusion to spiritual laws. And, I've been hanging around this unity bubble now for a long time, and I stepped outside of that for a moment, and I thought, I wonder if everybody really knows what we're talking about when we talk about spiritual laws. We know there are physical laws, like gravity and aerodynamics, that there are economic and mathematical principles, that there are laws that govern the cycle of life, birth, growth, maturity, and death, right? Natural laws that govern the way our bodies work. We breathe without thinking about it. Our blood circulates all on its own. Our heart beats. So what are these spiritual laws with which we must learn to cooperate? So I'm going to invite you to look in your bulletin and pull out a copy of something called Living the Spiritual Laws. I turn to Deepak Chopra's 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. These laws are ancient and they are timeless. Yet somehow, every time I read them, they seem new and radical. While man-made rules focus on the outer and the visible, spiritual laws focus on consciousness. The underlying principle is, as within, so without. That everything we manifest in the physical world is a reflection of our consciousness. The mental, emotional lens through which we interpret life. So, lasting good in the material world can only be created by minds and hearts that are steadfast in adherence to spiritual law. So now you have the laws in your hand. The laws come from the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, and then I've added a suggestion for their application and a supporting affirmation. So I want us this morning, a little bit different for us, but I want us to read this document together. I'll read the law, and then anyone, just speak up and read the description and the affirmation. As we do this, I want you to keep one ear tuned to this idea of divine order and see if you can sense the intrinsic relationship between that power and the spiritual laws. So you ready for this? Say yes, you can do it. Yes. So number 1, the law of pure potentiality. The source of all creation is pure consciousness, pure potentiality seeking expression. When we realize that our true self is also pure potentiality, we align with the power that manifests everything in the universe. So your turn. Anybody.
The practice of non-judgment. Throughout the day, I will remind myself that things are exactly as they need to be for my highest and best good. I am open, receptive, and trusting. My life and all my affairs are unfolding in perfect order.
Yes. The law of giving and receiving. The universe operates through dynamic exchange. Giving and receiving are different aspects of the flow of energy in the universe. It is in our willingness to give that which we seek that we keep the abundance of the universe circulating in our lives. Sepp, why don't you do this one?
Activating the law of circulation by giving a gift to everyone I encounter, a flower, a compliment, a touch, or a prayer, I attract joy, wealth, and affluence into my life and share it with others. Affirmation.